Hello everybody. This is our first attempt at this. Facebook's been giving us a little bit of grief, so I don't know if this is actually going out, but we hope it does. And Amber, would you mind starting recording?
Yes, I'm doing that now.
Okay. This funny looking instrument on my lap is called an Autoharp. And it has 36 strings, and this particular one has 21 buttons. And the Autoharp is a beautiful instrument because you don't have to know a whole lot about music to play it. You can simply push the buttons, and when you push a button, when you strum the strings without pushing a button, you get something that sounds a little weird. Haunted house. But when you press a button and strum the Autoharp, you get a chord. Sounds a lot better, doesn't it? So just about anybody can make music with it. If you get a simple guitar book or something, you can play the chords along with whatever you want to sing. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Kind of like that. We play it a little differently, and so we're going to do that today, and hope you have a good time. This first song is one of my favorites, and I usually open my demonstrations and shows with this. This is a Dick Feller tune. Well, I was just a boy at the time when this drinking Uncle Hiram of mine decided he'd make up a batch of homemade beer. Don't tell a soul, he said to me, but I've come across this recipe that says for pennies a day I can drink all year. So I searched the alleys behind the bars for empty jugs and mason jars, and he sneaked them down to his basement brewery. He measured out yeast and sugar and hops, and he said to me as we sealed the tops, for goodness sake, don't tell your Aunt Marie. And she'd say, hey there, Hiram, what's going on down there? There's some peculiar odor coming up the basement stairs. Go on back to your sewing, hon, I'm varnishing a chair. The time my Uncle Hiram made his famous homemade beer. Well, we let her sit for a month or so, and me and Uncle sneaked down below, figuring it was about time to give it a try. I was standing there at the foot of the stairs, and Uncle Hiram was checking the wares, and all of a sudden 2 bottles just blew sky high. Well, the jars went crash, lids went plunk, and Hiram died behind the trunk as the beer began to spew out on the floor. Uncle yelled, don't mind me, save yourself. As fast as I could, I ran up the steps, and out of breath, I quickly closed the door. Aunt Marie cried out, what is it, dear? And I said, it's Uncle's homemade beer. It's blowing up and got Uncle trapped down there. She said, beer, I declare. Hiram, you come up out of there. But the sound of exploding beer was all we could hear. Hey there, Hiram, what's going on down there? There's some peculiar odor coming up the basement stairs. Going back to your sewing, hon, I'm varnishing a chair. The time my Uncle Hiram made his famous homemade beer. It sounded like a war for a day and a night. Those bottles just blew up left and right, till finally we just heard one here and there. Aunt Marie took a comforter and held it up in the front of her, with me behind, and we went on down the stairs. Well, the place was a mess, to say the least. The walls were sticky, it smelled like yeast, and the glass and the lids and the beer were all around. It had been quite a battle, there weren't no doubt, but when we commenced to looking about, Uncle Hiram was nowhere to be found. And he cried out, Hiram, oh poor dear, he'd been killed by jar beer. I warned him a drink, but he never listens to me. Then up popped the lid on the antique trunk, and there soaked in beer, blind, running drunk, was the late lamented love of Aunt Marie. And he said, yep, rather than see it all go to waste, I figured I might as well give it a little taste. I reckon I tasted about 43 jars of beer. Y'all just go on, 'cause I'm standing right down here. Hey there, Hiram, what's going on down there? There's some peculiar odor coming up the basement stairs. Go on back to your sewing, hon, I'm varnished in a chair. The time my Uncle Hiram made his famous homemade beer. All right.
We had Dan Wolking join us, and we've had two, not comments, but responses in the like and love area.
Well, thanks, thanks everybody. I'm glad you're enjoying the show, and I'm glad it's working because we weren't real sure there at the beginning. Okay. I want to introduce you. My daughter Amber is here. She's our techie today. And my lovely and gracious wife Linda is reading comments to me and kind of keeping the show moving. And she is the keeper of the songs list. So we will ask her from time to time what to play next. That's how the old boys down here do it. They either make their own or they go somewhere and get it from somebody who makes their own. But you got to be careful when you're drinking. Yes, sir, you can run into problems. Here's a song, Ray Stevens song about that. Well, me and this buddy Harold of mine decided we'd go fishing one time, so we drove to the lake with my brand new bass boat. I brought the fishing poles, the pork and beans, the saltine crackers and the canned sardines, and Harold brought all the booze one man could tote. While I was loading the boat and filling the tank and tried to get that motor to crank, Harold just sat there sipping on a long neck beer. I was steering the boat and tying the plugs, and Harold was drinking moonshine straight from the jug, and he sang Melancholy Baby before we left the pier. Oh, never go fishing with a man who has been drinking. Those things just might not work out like you wish. Leave that fool at home to drink, you'll be just as happy fishing in the kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. I was concentrating, perfecting my cast, hoping to land me a trophy bass, and Harold was having trouble trying to find the lake. Lying right beside him, coiled up real neat, was an anchor line right by his feet. Harold saw it, turned white as a ghost, and hollered, "Snake!" We jumped straight up and started to yell. I said, "Sit down, Harold, and behave yourself. Can't you see that ain't nothing but a piece of rope?" But he was scared to death, plumb out of his mind, trying not to get bit by that anchor line. He grabbed my shotgun and blew a hole in the bottom of the boat. Harold, never go fishing with a man who has been drinking, 'cause things just might not work out like you wish. Leave that fool at home to drink, he'll be just as happy fishing in the kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. Now, too drunk to fish is too drunk to swim. I was dog paddling and dragging him. I finally found a sandbar big enough for two. And it was long after dark when that helicopter came with that big searchlight calling our names. Harold saw us and said, "Lord, is that you?" Then Harold knelt in that heavenly glow. He said, "Lord, You know, I ain't ready to go, but if you'll pass me by tonight, I will reform. Well, they dropped the raft and I paddled us home. And Harold hasn't touched a drop from that moment on. Sometimes the Lord works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. Never go fishing with a man who has been drinking. Those things just might not work out like you wish. Leave that fool at home to drink. He'll be just as happy fishing in the kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. No, don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. Yeah.
We've had 3 newcomers. Charles Benjamin Harris says, I'm here too. And Becky Sims, I'm here. And she said, love that song. I believe she's referring to Hiram.
Good.
And Nancy Beatty, I'm here as well.
Hey, Benji, Beck, Nan, nice to have the family around for this first try. I appreciate all of you joining us this afternoon. And by all means, leave comments. That'll help us to make the thing better the next time we do this. And tell your friends about it. Remember that once this is over, we'll save it as a video, so they can come to this page and click on this and see it anytime after we're through. All right, well, we just can't seem to get out of the bottle today. I don't know why. This is a song by one of the funniest guys I've ever heard in my life. His name is Don Bowman. He got into the wrong house again last night. He surely did give everyone a fright. But on his block, all the houses look alike. And he got into the wrong house again last night. I bought myself a house here a few months back. And this is a darling little house, that's a fact. But there's 37 others there, just exact. And I got in the wrong house again last night. My neighbor has got this dog about 2 feet high. And this is a cute little dog. Little small dog, wouldn't hurt a fly. But I stumbled in their house by mistake this morning, about 5. And that cute little stupid dog nearly ate me alive. I decided I better try the next house in line. And I was skipping tippy-toe across the lawn, double time. Have you ever been hit in the throat with a dirty clothesline? By the way, if you should find a set of teeth out there, they're mine, my teeth. I came in last night and I felt like I had 2 heads. And I was sneaking in the house when I heard this sweet voice say, Bill, darling, why don't you put out the cat and come to bed? Which shook me pretty good, 'cause my name's Fred. I went up to the next house and rang the bell. And this man, about 8 feet tall, answered the door and said, "What then?" I said, "Well, I was just passing by, kind of in the area, and I thought I might just visit a spell. Well, he wasn't too neighborly. He threw me out the back door and called me some names. So I went to sleep in the next house I saw, 'cause they all looked the same. I woke up this morning in the doghouse, and my head was just pain. And there was a silly kid looking in the door yelling, "Gravy train." He got into the wrong house again last night. It surely did give everyone a fright. But on my block, all the houses look alike. And I got into the wrong house again last night. Yeah, they're making them all alike now.
Hey, I've got a couple comments here.
Okay.
Becky says that that was a new song for her. A new song for me. I'm happy to hear a new one. That would be Too Drunk to Fish. Eileen Hitzman has arrived. And
Oh, Eileen, it's awfully nice to meet you. I'm glad you could join us this afternoon.
And Linda Saviard, who says, Dan and I are here. I love that last song, so she liked that one too.
Good. Thanks for coming in, Linda. I appreciate it very much. Like I said, they're building houses a lot alike now. We live in one of them. They're all alike. But down home here, these boys down here now, they don't necessarily hold with that.
Applause from Dan Walking.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks a lot. These boys down here can do anything. They can fix anything. They can build anything. All they need are the right tools. Now, some folks say grown-up men are still just little boys, and really the only difference is the price of our toys. We go for macho symbols like guns and running shoes, pickup trucks and hunting ducks and burning power tool, power tool, power tool. You just plug them in the wall and think of all you can do. You can plant a garden, fix your car, build a house if you want to, if you've got the proper power tool. Hello? Emergency? Yeah, I was out in the front yard testing out my brand new gas-powered weed whacker there. Somehow or another she got caught on the hammer loop of my Big Smith overalls. Yeah, before I could get her shut down, she screwed me plumb 3 foot down in the middle of the front yard there. My wife looked out the door and hollered, "Hey, Shorty, as long as you're down there, why don't you check the fescue for aphids?" That woman's a regular comedian. Hardy holler, holler. Now, some folks say macho men use tools to compensate for lack of virility. Well, I thought about that, but wait, there may be some validity in what those people say. But in my case, it's the only way I can get outside and play. Boy, I love this stuff. Power tool. Power tool. You just plug them in the wall and think of all you can do. You can plant a garden, fix your car, build a house if you want to, if you got the proper power tool. Hello? 911? Yeah, I was out in the garden testing out my brand new direct drive rototiller there. Somehow or another, the rawhide lace on my red goose work boots got tangled up in that outboard tiller time. Yeah, before I could get her shut down, she drove me plumb across the yard and up underneath my neighbor's Toyota 4x4. My wife looked out the window and hollered, "Hey, Shorty!" Funny how a name will stick with you like that. "Hey, Shorty, as long as you're going to be playing Mr. Goodrich, it seems to me like you'd work on our old jalopy first." That woman's a regular Roseanne Barr. Now 911 rescued me and carried me away to the local hospital for at least a 2-week stay. The doctor said, I hope you learned your lesson. Thanks to power tools, you're nearly dead. I didn't hear a word he was saying. I was playing with my power bed. Power tools. Power tools. Hello? Yeah, nurse's station? Send somebody up to room 304 quick. Yeah, my power bed's stuck in the upright position, and I'm folded up in here like a big taco. Whoa, if you got the proper power tools. Yeah, you can get in a lot of trouble if you got whether you got the proper power tools or the improper power tools. Ray Stevens did that song, by the way.
Comment from Becky Sims, one of my favorites on the Wrong House.
The Wrong House.
And Eileen Hitzman's giving you a big smile face on that last one.
Thanks, Eileen. Thanks, Becky. Appreciate it. Let's see, what are we supposed to do now? Oh, yeah, I guess we probably ought to quit all this drinking and carousing around and tearing things up and all, and repent of our sins. Get right with Jesus. Here's another Ray Stevens tune about a group of people who had that done to them, whether they wanted it or not. When I was young, I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi to visit my granny in her antebellum world. I'd run barefooted all day long, climbing trees as free as a song. One day, I happened to catch myself a squirrel. Well, I stuffed him down in an old shoebox and punched a couple holes in the top, and when Sunday came, I snuck him into church. I was all the way back in the very last pew, showed him off to my good buddy Hugh when that squirrel got loose and went totally berserk. What happened then was hard to tell. Some thought it was heaven, some thought it was hell, but the fact that something was among us was plain to see. As the choir sang, I surrender all, the squirrel crawled up Harv Newman's coveralls. Harv leaped to his feet and said, "Something got a hold on me!" Woo! The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, hallelujah. Harv hit the aisles, dancing and screaming. Some thought he had religion, some thought he had a demon, and Harv thought he had a weed eater loose in his Fruit of the Loom. He fell to his knees to plead and beg, and the squirrel crawled out of his breeches leg, unobserved, to the other side of the room. All the way back to the Amen pew where sat Sister Bertha Better Than You, observing all the commotion with sadistic glee. But you should have seen the look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs. She jumped straight up and said, "Lord, have mercy on me." As the squirrel ran laps inside her dress, she began to cry and then to confess the sins that would make a sailor blush with shame. She told of gossip and church dissension, but the thing that got the most attention was when she talked about her love life and started naming names. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, hallelujah. Well, 7 deacons and the pastor got saved, and $25,000 got raised, and 50 volunteered for missions to the Congo on the spot. And even without an invitation, there were at least 500 rededications, and we all got rebaptized whether we needed it or not. You've heard the Bible story, I guess, how he parted the waters for Moses to pass. Oh, the miracles God hath wrought in this old world. But the one I'll remember till my dying day was how he put that church back on the narrow way with a half-crazed Mississippi squirrel. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. Yeah, they were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah.
Got a couple more comments. Dakota Harris has joined us, and he says, "Go, Grandpa George." And Becky made a comment on after power tools. Going to be a lot of work up here in Nebraska for anyone with power tools.
Yeah, our heart really goes out to all y'all up that way, because that's just
Absolutely.
terrible. They're saying in some places it's the worst flooding in history. So golly, I don't know what to say. We can bring a smile to a couple of faces up that way. That'd be great.
Dan says, "Fighting for oxygen here." Linda Saviard, apropos for Sunday, LOL.
Yes.
That song. Yeah.
Thanks, Dakota. I'm glad you could join us today. I'm glad things are going so good for you with your job and school and all too. That's a good deal. This song is done by a group of bluegrass comedy musicians called the Famous Brothers. And it's a song about what can happen when a church puts religion ahead of the Lord instead of the other way around. A funny thing happened on the way to church one Sunday. Billows of smoke came rolling from the door, and I ran up to tell the leading deacon something needs done, 'cause the church is on fire for sure. And he said, "That's a point well put and a timely suggestion. We'll bring it up at the very next meeting of the Board of Deacons a week from Tuesday. I don't know why, it's just church policy at the First Past Method, Baptist, Seventh-day Orthodox, Lutheran, non-denominational Church of Our Lady of the Mind." We all got together the next Sunday in a tent bought and paid for by the building fund. And I stood up to tell the congregation, "There's a tornado coming! Woo! Everybody run!" And they said, "That's a point well put and a timely suggestion. We'll bring it up at the very next meeting of the Board of Deacons a week from Tuesday. I don't know why, it's just church policy at the First Past Method, Baptist, Seventh-day Orthodox, Lutheran, non-denominational Church of Our Lady of the Mind." We held an open-air service the next Sunday when the trumpets sounded and the clouds were rolled away. I stood up to tell the congregation, "Lift up your head, 'cause the Lord has come today." And they said, "That's a point well put and a timely suggestion. We'll bring it up at the very next meeting of the Board of Deacons a week from Tuesday. I don't know why, it's just church policy at the First Past Method, Baptist, Costal, Seventh-day Orthodox, Lutheran, non-denominational Church of Our Lady of Mine. Too much process. Not enough worship, too much process going on there.
Amber says, oh, I love this one.
Thanks, Amber. I'm glad you liked it. I just recently learned that. I was looking around and found that one. Just had to learn it and play it for y'all today. Not all churches are that way, and not all preachers are completely stuck on religion either. Some of them have other hobbies and things that they like to do. Here's a song that is quite old. There are a lot of versions of this out there. The first time I heard it was a version done by the New Christy Minstrels back in the 60s. Well, the preacher, he went out walking. It was on one sunny morn. Of course, it was against his religion, but he took his gun along. He shot himself some mighty fine quail and one little measly hare. And on his way, returning home, he met a great big grizzly bear. Well, the bear sat down in the middle of the road as mean as he could be. The preacher, he commenced a shaking and climbed up a simmon tree. The bear stood up and he rolled his eyes and he shook his ugly head. The preacher looked up to the sky. These are the words that he said. Yes, these are the words that he said. He said, Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den. Delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. So the good book do declare, Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Well, the bear commenced to climb the tree, and that made the preacher sore. The preacher, he climbed still higher, till he could not climb no more. Just about then a big limb gave way, and they both came a-tumbling down. And when that preacher commenced to pray, you could hear it for miles all around. Oh, you could hear it for miles all around. He prayed, Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den. Delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. So the good book do declare, Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Well, they fought all the way down to the river, and it was a terrible sight. The bear was really laying it on, but the preacher, he was doing all right. Yay! He dragged that beast down to the water. It was 3 times in and out. Bear got loose, it limped away, and the preacher, he began to shout. He yelled, Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den. Delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, amen. Now, Lord, it may not seem like much from where you sit up there, but the hardest job that I ever done was baptizing that bear. Yeah, the hardest job that I ever done was baptizing that bear. Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den. Delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace of the good book do declare, Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. And that's the story of the preacher and the bear.
Barbara Thomas Harris has joined us, and she says, hey, George. And Becky Sims, I'm impressed that you can remember the name of that church.
Well, they've got all the bases covered, don't they, Becky? Thanks, Barbara. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed playing for y'all last Easter. I got a big kick out of that. Thanks for letting me do that. There is more than one kind of come to Jesus moment out there. They don't always happen in church. Sometimes they happen other places. And this is a song done by Lardo and Burley, the Moron Brothers, about just such a thing. We were born and raised way back in the sticks. Everybody used to call us Hicks. We had a 20-acre holler nestled between two hills. We raised hogs and chickens and cows and a mule. We might have been hillbillies, but we weren't no fools. We had plenty to eat, raised it all ourselves. Now the biggest problem that we ever had was a mule named Rodney. Kept everybody mad. No matter how hard we tried, we couldn't keep him fenced in. He'd get in the garden and Ma's flower bed, and Pa'd cuss and scratch his old gray head, settle his nerves with a drink, and patch the fence again. Me and my brother bought an electric fence, battery and all, set it up one night, gonna surprise her Pa. Had to keep that mule in so Pa wouldn't get so tense. Pa got up that night, he was moving kind of quick, he was headed for the outhouse. The fog was really thick and he must have lost his way because he got hung in that electric fence. Yeah, he must have went through a spiritual change, he don't look the same anymore. He works hard every day, goes to church every Sunday, no more loafing at the country store. Treats us all different, even quit chewing tobacco. Ain't cussed or drank ever since the night that Pa got hung in that electric fence. Well, we heard Pa screaming, "Come quick, sons, the Martians have got me, they're zapping me with their guns." He was easy to find as sparks are flying everywhere. He said, "Stand back, boys, I ain't a-joking." His body was jerking, his long johns were smoking, his hair stood straight up, he must have been really scared. We was trying to tell Pa what we'd done when we seen Ma coming with her old shotgun. She said, "Step aside, boys, ain't no Martian gonna get my man." And that mule ran out of the barn with a bucket on his head. Ma let go both barrels and filled him with lead. She thought he was a Martian. We couldn't make her understand. Yeah, he must have went through a spiritual change. He don't look the same anymore. He works hard every day, goes to church every Sunday. No more loafing at the country store. Treats us all different, even quit chewing tobacco. Ain't cussed or drank ever since the night that Pa got hung in that electric fence. Well, we finally got him out when the battery went dead. He was stiff as a board when we got him in bed. Me and my brother got scared and snuck that fence back to the store. They still swear up and down the Martians were there, and they ain't been able to do nothing about Pa's hair. And they can't figure out why the mule won't eat out of a bucket anymore. Misunderstandings. Okay. Those guys are funny. Now, we got a bunch of characters down home here too. There's some interesting folks down here. Now, a neighbor to a neighbor to those folks that had the electric fence problem decided several years ago that they'd go up to the big city and have a look around, see what it was like, you know. So they went up to a big shopping mall. You know it's a few years ago because there ain't no big shopping malls no more. They're gone, I think, most of them. Anyway, they get into this shopping mall and all these stores and everything, and the Ma and her daughter went one way and Pa and his boy went the other way. After a while, Pa came up upon these two metal doors. And this old lady come limping up with a cane and everything, and those metal doors opened and she walked in there. And a couple of minutes later, those doors opened again, and a beautiful blonde came out of there, just looking fine. And Paul's jaw about dropped down to his drawers, and he turned to his son and said, "Boy, go get your ma." So, you know, some people just don't get it. Anyway, we got characters. We got adventure seekers. We got tall tale tellers. We got all kind of people we're going to tell you about from down home here. This song is a Roger Miller tune. Let me see if I can get it started here. Me and Oliver and Virgil were in the drugstore killing time when my eye fell upon a magazine. I got to reading this article about skydiving and parachutes. It said jumping out of airplanes is the thing. Well, being raised down on a farm and always looking for adventure, I knew that I could figure out a way. I thought, well, Delmer Gill's got a parachute and Uncle Harvey's got an airplane. I said, call the boys together. Today's the day. Well, I found out too late that what Harvey called an airplane wasn't much more than an engine and a wing. And I could feel my fear arising as Delmer packed the parachute. He kept telling me I was doing the right thing. Rhonda Blockman shook my hand as J.D. strapped me in that harness, and Tilden brought a jug and passed it around. I took one look at that whiskey, that parachute, and that airplane, and I tipped that bottle up and drank it down. I was drunker than Cooter Jones when they poured me in that plane. The engine coughed and headed for the clouds. But I was sober as a judge when Harvey opened up the door, and I'd never known my heart could beat so loud. I said, Harvey, I can't do it. And he kicked me out the door, and I wrapped my hands around the landing gear. And I was holding on real good till Harvey stepped upon my fingers, and the boys all heard me scream from way up there. Well, I thank God and Delmer Gill when my parachute finally opened. I thought, hell, there ain't no need to be afraid. Then I went smashing through the hen house, scattering chickens and breaking eggs, and I kissed the ground and fainted dead away. Now, friends, I fought some battles, been shot at once or twice, and darn near got run over by a train. But I cannot remember ever feeling more afraid than the day I jumped from Uncle Harvey's plane.
Aaron Beatty Teeples has joined us. Me and my boys are watching, she said.
Hey, Aaron. Hello to you and your family from up there in north central Ohio. Thank you for joining. Be sure to tell your friends about it. You know, comments and likes and everything help us make it better. And this will be up as a video later. So if you know somebody that you think might enjoy it, tell them about it anyway, even after it ends, and they can still watch it out there.
And a hello from Goshen, Ohio, from Jimmy Clark.
Hey, Jimmy. Glad to meet you, sir.
Is it Goshen or Goshen?
I always called it Goshen.
So did I.
When I spent the first half of my life up there, that's what we call it. But it's awful nice to meet you, Jimmy. I'm glad you stopped in to visit today. Could one of you ladies get me something to drink?
If you'll reach to your left
Oh.
on that table.
I did, but
way over farther. It's about another 3 inches to that direction. Sorry, I didn't.
Thank you.
Hope you weren't too thirsty.
Yeah. Okay. Put that just a little bit
Yeah, I was
closer
trying
to my hand.
I was trying to stay out of the shot when I did that. And
All right. Here is another Moron Brothers tune about another character from down around here. In our county there lived a feller, Hoss Walker was his name. Telling lies was his trademark, it brought him world acclaim. He'd climb a tree to tell a lie, when the truth he could tell on the ground. Some folks said the truth wasn't in him, he was known for miles around. I remember one evening we was sitting on the porch and old Hoss came a-riding by. Pa said, Hoss, come up and set a spell and tell us a big old lie. He said, folks, I really wish I could, but I got to be heading on. Pa passed away this afternoon and I've got to get back home. Well, it came as quite a shock to us. His pa was our good friend. We started telling all the neighbors and notifying next of kin. We gathered up some cakes and pies and headed over to their place. We all met there on their front porch, tears running down our face. We knocked on the door and walked on in, and much to our surprise, his pa sat there in his rocking chair right there before our eyes. It gave us an eerie feeling, made the hair stand up on my head. One woman even dropped her cake and said, good Lord, he come back from the dead. Well, we told his pa why we was there and the things that Hoss had said. He said, boy, what in the world made you tell these good folks I was dead? He said, Pa, they want me to stop a while and tell them a big old lie. But I was in a hurry, so I told them you was dead, and I just rode on by. He said, folks, I'm sorry for the lie I told you, some of our good friends. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me, I swear I'll never lie again. He stood there looking so sincere, big tears in his eyes. Then he said, I ain't eaten 3 or 4 weeks. How about a piece of that pie? I remember one cold winter morn, we were sitting around the general store, talking about the Depression and things that happened during the war. Hoss come in carrying a shotgun, just a grin from ear to ear. We all started making jokes about the lie we was fixing to hear. He said, boys, I've been a-hunting, and you can believe it or not, I just killed 99 blackbirds, I only fired 1 shot. We all got to laughing. I think it was old man Steve. Said, Hoss, why don't you just say it was 100? It wouldn't be no harder to believe. He said, no, it was only 99, and on that, I'll give my word. Ain't no use in saying it was 100 and lying over 1 blackbird. No, sir. He said, the other day I was on the river with my rifle I was a-hunting. I looked over yonder across the way, and the hummingbirds were a-humming. Well, I took aim and I fired that thing and a hummingbird fell dead. With a .22 rifle, I killed enough hummingbirds to make them all feather bed. Now another tale he told one time how cold it got at his house. froze the flame on his coal oil lantern and he couldn't even blow it out. So he broke it off and threw it in the yard, and right there's where it lay. But the chickens ate it, and when springtime come, they all started laying fried eggs. Another tale he told about the watermelons he grew. Seeds the size of silver dollars in the ground he sowed. Watermelons 4 foot long, and some of them 3 foot round. But they growed so fast they wore the watermelons out, dragging along the ground. Well, Hoss started getting up in age. He started growing old. He said, I'm tired of this reputation and all them lies I told. He said, I think I'll go somewhere far away where nobody knows my name. Packed his bags and England bound, he boarded a big old plane. He got off that plane in England and said, I'm going to start my life anew. I'll never tell another lie. From now on, it's nothing but the truth. 2 little boys were fighting there and they're calling each other names. One said, you're a bigger liar than Hoss Walker, and he got back on the plane. Well, I guess there's lots of other tales old Hoss must have left behind. Tales that'll live forever. He was a legend in his time. As long as folks keep telling those tales, his legend will never die. And the name Hoss Walker will live forever, and brother, that ain't no lie. You know, the trouble with that old boy is if he ever did tell the truth, nobody'd believe him. Sadie liked that song. She's shaking. You might hear that on the microphones. For those of you who can't see her, we've got a Great Dane with us here in the living room, but she's in her crate so she doesn't trip over the mic cables and things. Okay, let me see. Okay, thank you. Keeper of the list. We've even got hackers and computer guys down home. We aren't all just hicks down here now. I want you to know that. We got some folks that know their way around cyberspace. Here's a Cletus Judd song about one of those. Well, Lord of mercy, I was in a mess. My wife ran off with my TV set. Didn't bother me none that she had to go, except I was going to miss all my TV shows. I looked up to heaven, got down on my knees. I cried, dear Lord, will you help me, please? I need a new TV by tomorrow night, because Hulk Hogan's involved in a title fight. Well, I guess all that tithing must have paid off, because the very next morning should have seen what I saw. I reached in my pocket for my inhaler. There's a big brown box sitting in front of my trailer. I used my truck key to cut open the box. I was hoping for a Sony or a Magnavox. I looked inside and said, oh my gosh, this must be a new one called a Macintosh. Well, my old TV was a whole sight wider. This and here come with its own typewriter. Had all the letters from A to Z. I guess you just type in what you want to say. Well, I thought I'd typed in WWF, but the TV screen said World Wide Web. I broke out in a cold, cold sweat. I was the first redneck on the internet. He was the first redneck on the internet. A bona fide, countrified cyber threat. He went online just one time, and now they'll never forget the first redneck on the internet. Well, it was all so new, I should have taken my time, but I slammed that mouse up 4-wheel drive. Last time I did this much pointing and clicking, I had a .22 rifle shooting at chickens. Got one. Then all of a sudden it occurred to me the power I had with this fancy TV. I could get back at my ex-wife with a click of a button. I could ruin her life. I got the number for a MasterCard, bought a new lift kit, 4 mud tires, went online to her bank account, went ahead and closed that sucker out. Had her water and her power shut slap off, sent an email to her dad-blame boss, letting him know that she told me she'd have his job by the end of the way. He was the first redneck on the internet. bona fide, countrified cyber threat. He went online just one time, and now they'll never forget the first redneck on the internet. Well, the moral of the story, as a matter of fact, the very next day I got my TV back. She said she'd like to come back as well. I told her to go straight to AOA. Well, I thank God and UPS for dropping that box off at my address. If you ever want to find me, it won't take long. Type www.redneck.com to reach the first redneck on the internet. A bona fide, countrified cyber threat. He went online just one time, and now they'll never forget the first redneck on the internet. He was the first redneck on the internet. World Wide Web, population 4 zillion. Salute! For those of you who are old enough to remember Hee Haw.
Oh, yeah. Kathy Handel says hello.
Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad you're visiting with us today. Yeah. Then we have enterprising young men down here who they find ways to get things done, things that just don't seem possible. Here is another tune by the redoubtable Ray Stevens about one of those people. Now, my daddy was a backwoods self-made type. Never went to school, couldn't read or write, but he made a fortune selling hogs and was suspicious of education. So when I told him I was going off to school, he said, well, you'll just become some city-fied fool. Don't expect no help from me, son, and no financial remuneration. Well, my dad was tight, but he loved his dogs, that's true. And his favorite of the pack was called Old Blue. So I called my dad when I got to college. I said, Dad, I know you don't think too much of human knowledge, but they got a course down here where they can teach dogs to speak. Now, I don't mean speak like bark for a bone. No, they say these dogs can carry on an intelligent conversation. And some even go on to teach. And when I heard of that course, of course, I thought of you. And how great it'd be for you to sit and talk to Old Blue. The line went silent, and I thought all was lost, and he finally spoke up and said, what's that cost? I said, Pop, it's a bargain at $5,000 per semester. He didn't balk, and he didn't complain. Blue showed up on the very next train, and that's how my dad became the proud investor in the higher education of Old Blue. A story that if it's not, it ought to be true. About a fiscal windfall situation of my very own creation, the inspiration that I call the education of Old Blue. And the money just kept rolling in. 8 semesters, $40,000. Woo! Well, all too soon, time to graduate. The day had come that I'd grown to hate. The day I'd have to go home and face my dad. I got off the train. He said, where's Old Blue? Come here, boy, I want to talk to you. I swallowed hard and said, Pop, I got some news and I'm afraid it's bad. See, coming home on the train, Blue was smoking his pipe and reading the New York Times. And he took off his glasses and looked at me. He said, are you aware of your daddy's crimes? Well, he's a mass murderer, just ask any hog, and he treated my mama just like a dog. Rubbed my nose in stuff you wouldn't believe, and made me sleep on the hard, cold ground. But I can talk now, his days are through, 'cause I'm gonna tell your mama a thing or two about his secret drinking habit. Yeah, in his affair with the widow Brown. When I heard Blue say those things pop, something snapped inside my brain. And I grabbed him up and I strangled him. And I throwed him off the train. Yeah. Paul looked at me with his eyes ablaze and his face contorted like somebody crazed, and it didn't look like he believed a word I'd said. Then he grabbed my coat and he pulled me real close. He said, "Boy, there's just one thing I want to know. Are you real sure that no good lying flea bag is dead?" And that's the story of the higher education of Old Blue. The story that if it's not, it ought to be true. About a fiscal windfall situation of my very own creation. The inspiration that I call the education of Old Blue. The inspiration that I call the education of Old Blue.
Benji Harris said, "This is one of my favorites." And at the end,
Thanks, Benji.
At the end of the first Redneck on the Internet, Becky put the LOL.
Thanks, Becky. I always get a kick out of that one. I like to think that boy actually took Old Blue and found him a good home somewhere. Now, here's a song about a real dog lover. Now, this guy loves his dog. This was written by Tom T. Hall, and a lot of people have done this. I came home from work last night and this is what I found. The wife was gone, the dog was gone, there was no one around. She took the car, she took the dog, I don't know where she's at. I don't care where she went, I want my dog back. I want my dog back, he is faithful, he is true. I want my dog back, I don't know what I'll do. If he gets out, he'll come on home, he knows that I'll be blue. The only thing that worries me is she might come back too. I never understood that girl, but I sure love that pup. He knows where the bones are hid and he can dig them up. He sniffs out the neighborhood for a female he can track. He's smarter than she is, I want my dog back. I want my dog back, he is faithful, he is true. I want my dog back, I don't know what I'll do. If he gets out, he'll come on home, he knows that I'll be blue. The only thing that worries me is she might come back too. The thing that really bothers me, what gets to me the worst, she don't care for my old dog, she just wants me to her. She can come and get the stuff she didn't think to pack. All I want from her is I want my dog back. Now if anybody sees my wife, tell her give me a call. I won't even raise my voice, I just want my dog, it's all. I'll make her an offer, there will be no questions asked. She can have it all, I want my dog back. I want my dog back, he is faithful, he is true. I want my dog back, I don't know what I'll do. If he gets out, he'll come on home, he knows that I'll be blue. The only thing that worries me is she might come back too. Yeah, the only thing that worries me is she might come back too. Just bring the dog, that's all. I I like most people, but I will say there are a few out there that I prefer my dog to their company. Present company accepted, of course. Where are we now?
Cowpet.
Oh yeah, boy, we're getting down there. How long have we been on? That's all right.
Did you hear her say 1 hour 4 minutes? Oh, I see. Now it's 1 hour 5 minutes.
Okay. We even have a gunfight now and then down home. Here is a Jim Stafford tune about that. From the Badlands came the killer. He lived by the knife and the gun. He'd cut you just for standing, shoot you if you tried to run. He was big as a tree, did as he pleased, and everything he did was bad. They said if you was to kill him, you'd only make him mad. From the good lands came the cowgirl. Patty was her name. She was hot on the trail of that killer, on a moped she called Flame. 'Cause the killer had killed her daddy just for spitting in the road. You only had to kill her daddy once to get that gal P.O. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. She rode into town to find the man that killed her daddy. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. The killer hit town at daybreak, ate the door off the local saloon. As he started to drink, you could tell he was thinking there'll be a showdown soon. Patty hit town in a cloud of dust. Old Flame was buzzing like a saw. The whole town got as quiet as a church when the killer stepped out for the draw. 40 shots rang out. 40 people fell. Patty and the killer missed each other, but they shot that town to hell. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. She rode into town to find the man that killed her daddy. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. The killer took a step toward Patty. Said, "It's time I gunned you down." But he slipped in something that was laying in the street and was shot before he hit the ground. Yes, the killer slipped and it cost him his life. And Patty said as she roared out of town, "You've got to watch your step when you know the chips are down." Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. She rode into town and shot the man that killed her daddy. Yippee-yi-yay, cow patty. On Flame!
We have a request from Benji Harris. How about Bobby Mountain Breakdown?
Yeah, we can do that. Probably ought to wind this up shortly, but we'll for sure, we'll give that a shot. Benji.
And I have Jimmy Clark with LOL and Becky Sims, I love cow patty. So those are both remarks to cow patty.
Okay, thank you
And
both.
Amber just said nice.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. I've done it better, but I broke a fingernail
Oh,
yesterday.
Charles, I'm sorry. Benji Harris said, you have got faster.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
That one didn't come up on mine.
Let's see here.
And Becky Sims says, yeah.
Here is, I got to do this. I hadn't planned to do this, but
Oh, and Benji said thank you.
you're welcome, Benji. Glad to do it. I got to do this song. I hadn't planned to do it. It's on the list as a standby, but I got to do this. He'll be coming down the road at the break of day. His hat thrown back, his guns tied low. He's coming after Jenny, wants to take her away, but I ain't gonna let her go. He boasted in town that she loves him. He said she'd be his with the sun. He said anyone trying to stop him would be just a notch on his gun. They say that he's headstrong and handsome. His hair blows wild and free. And I know they got a whole lot in common, because he's much younger than me. He'll be coming down the road at the break of day, his hat thrown back and his guns tied low. He's coming after Jenny, wants to take her away, but I ain't gonna let her go. He hasn't had much education. He's never worked a day in his life. He's living with some other older woman. And they say she's another man's wife. But she needs him, and loves him, and wants him. She buys all his clothes and his meals. And when she finds that he's gone, she'll be praying. Lord, I know just how she feels. 'Cause now he's coming down the road. It's the break of day. His hat's thrown back. His guns are tied low. He's coming after Jenny. Wants to take her away. I ain't gonna let her go. The sun's at his back, and he's coming. A smile is curling his lip. His right hand is slowly descending toward the 6-gun that rests on his hip. Then his lower lip starts trembling. He starts crying as he looks up at me. I picked him up and said, "Son, you're only 4 years old. And you know Jenny's only 3. So why not come in the house for some cookies and milk?" And we did, and his tears turned to smile. I called up his mama, and I drove him back home. And now my Jenny's safe for a little while. The song got me good the first time I heard it. I was ready to strap on my shooting irons and go to that old boy's aid, you know. What else have we got on
We got a comment from Dan. This is the man that taught me how to flat pick over beer and pickled sausages out in Vinton County back in the late 70s.
Yep, those were the days.
I remember that, for sure.
Those were the days. There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks, and blue ribbon beer. I don't do too much of that anymore, but we did have some good times.
Let's see, the next one down is Keep on the Sunny Side of Life. And you, Miss Jenny Brown.
Okay. Well, actually, folks, I think we've kept you about long enough here. We're going to wrap this up here in just a little bit. And once again, please share it with anybody you think might like it. And if you didn't like it, share it with your enemies, and then we can tick them off too, you know. So anyway, we've really enjoyed having everybody down in our home this afternoon, and we hope you'll come and visit us again. We are planning to do a few more of these. You know, a couple weeks from now we'll do another one as soon as I put together some more tunes and that kind of demonstrate the capabilities of the Autoharp.
Applause from Eileen, and Jimmy Clark says you can see George's influence on you, Dan.
Thanks, guys. So I want to leave you with this thought, with all the troubles in the world and all the politicians fighting each other to no purpose, and Mother Nature kicking us around a lot with all the rain we've had and the floods and everything. I still want to leave you with this thought and a classic Autoharp tune that was done by the Carter family and Sarah Carter, who played the Autoharp with them for many, many years. So folks, as we leave you this afternoon, try to keep on the sunny side of life, will you? And a troubled side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side you also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all our way, if we'll keep on the sunny side of life. Crushing hopes that we cherish so dear, clouds and storm will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all our way, it will keep on the sunny side of life. the moment be cloudy or fair, let us trust in our Savior always, to keep everyone in His care. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way, if we'll keep on the sunny side of life. If we'll keep on the sunny side of life. So long, folks, and God bless.
I did have a request for.
Oh, okay.
I had
Sorry.
a request, so before you go.
Before I go.
Encore. Dan was hoping for Nash Rambler. Also wanted Nancy Baby said great show.
Thanks, Nan.
And there is, we have
Wow.
Don Skoog says, thanks for making my day.
Hey, Scoop. Nice
Don.
to meet you. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hope you'll come back and join us again the next time we do this. I haven't played this in a while, so bear with me, but we'll give it a shot. Wow. Do I want to go? Let's see.
Applause from Becky Sims. Too.
Thanks, Becky. While riding in my Cadillac, what to my surprise, a little Nash Rambler was following me, about 1/3 my size. The guy must have wanted to pass me up as he kept on tooting his horn. I'll show him that a Cadillac is not a car to scorn. Beep, 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 beep. His horn went beep, beep, beep. I pushed my foot down to the floor to give the guy the shake, but the little Nash Rambler stayed right behind me, still had on his brake. He must have thought his car had more guts as he kept on tooting his horn. I'll show him that a Cadillac is not a car to scorn. Beep, 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 beep. His horn went beep, beep, beep. My car went into passing gear and we took off with gust. Soon we were doing 90, must have left him in the dust. When I peeked through the mirror of my car, I couldn't believe my eyes. That little Nash Rambler was right behind me. I think that guy could fly. Beep, 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 beep. His horn went beep, beep, beep. Now we were doing 110, it certainly was a race. For a Rambler to pass a Caddy would be a big disgrace. He must have thought his car had more guts as he kept on tooting his horn. I'll show him that a Cadillac is not a car to scorn. Beep, 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 beep. His horn went beep, beep, beep. Now we're doing 120 as fast as my car could go. The Rambler pulled alongside of me as if we were going slow. The guy rolled down his window and yelled for me to hear, "Hey buddy, how can I get this car out of second gear?"
And he said, thanks for the show, can't wait for the next one.
Thanks for coming. And we really appreciate everybody who joined us today.
And Dan says, massive applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.